Who has ever thought to yourself, I think I have a food problem, or I am addicted to food? What's going on? I can't stop thinking about food. I can't stop eating food even though I'm not hungry. And it's just like something takes over me. I can't control this. It's like there's this something else that is controlling me and my food. If that's the case, then this is for you, because we are talking about binge eating triggers. 8 triggers that I have identified so far through my personal work with my clients, research, paperwork, looking into research and reading literature, and my personal experience as well. And today we're going to talk about the third trigger, which is a habit. Habits to binge, habits to overeat. Because when we start eating, let's say overeating, or when we start binge eating for the first time or the first few times, it is based on a trigger that we've experienced. Okay, so there was a trigger, and then your brain decided, I'm gonna go and eat food. After we've done it one time or a few times or 2 or 3 times, now our brain goes into a habit, because it remembers what that felt like last time. Now, naturally, as humans, we seek pleasure to avoid pain. So if there is some pain, we will seek pleasure. We will find a way to create some pleasure. And that's how we create habits as well. So if we've done it one time or a few times, it then becomes easier to us. It's like when you're doing your shoelaces. Do you find it hard to do your shoelaces? Probably not. Why? Because you've practiced that so many times that now you don't need to think about it. Or let's say when you're driving the car. At the beginning, it was really, really hard and tough. You had to think about everything that you were doing. Now, it's easy. You don't need to think about it. Now maybe you can even have coffee while you're driving, even though you should not be doing this. But that's what we do. We can do things simultaneously. Why? Because it is a habit. It has created pathways in your brain that it's now firing those synapses that are in the brain. So that's how we create habits in general, by repetition. We are repeating the same thoughts or the same behaviors, and the more we repeat them, the easier it is for us then to do them again. So repetition is the mother of skill, as Tony Robbins says. So, the more we practice, the easier it becomes, like doing the shoelaces. Also, if we look into habit creation, how do we create habits? We create habits 3 stages. One is there is a trigger. Second, there is a behavior. And third, there is a reward. Trigger, behavior, reward. A trigger can be, for example, you feel sad. Now you eat. A reward, you feel good for that moment. It makes you feel calm, relaxed. Food changes how we feel, fast and instantly, just like drugs do. Now, that was a reward. It felt good. Next time, when you feel stressed or sad, your brain remembers what you did last time. So it's going to send you that signal. Hey, do you remember? This is what we did. It felt good. Let's do it again. So next time you're sad, you eat again, it feels good again. And again, and again, and again. We're repeating that same behavior, and now it has become a habit. It turns into a habit. And now we're not even thinking about it. We just find ourselves standing in the kitchen, eating when it's dark, when nobody's watching, very, very fast. And that's how we start feeling like something takes over and we don't feel in control. That's because 90% of our decisions are driven through the subconsciousness. 90% of our decisions are driven by our subconsciousness. Okay? So that means that is your brain that's taking over. That's why you don't feel like you're in control again. It is a habit. And now imagine a lot of our food decisions, they were learned when we were little, when we were babies. For example, maybe when you cleaned up your room, your mom gave you a biscuit as a treat. Or when you were sad, maybe your parents said, oh, let's go and we'll get you an ice cream. You learned, when I'm sad and I have an ice cream, I feel good. It's a learned behavior. So we keep doing that same behavior since we were little. And now we don't even question that. Now we wonder, why am I such an emotional eater? Why do I eat even though I'm not hungry? Because food is not just about, just stop eating. It doesn't work like that, right? We all know we shouldn't be doing those things, but we do that. Why? Because food is about psychology. A lot of the layers are about psychology. It goes so much deeper than just stop doing it. Okay, and one of the reasons is because it's a habit creation. So the question is, what is the one thing that I can do to break a habit? Now, I do go deeper into this topic in my courses or with my personal clients. But let's say for now, for you to break a habit is to become aware of that behavior. We can't change what we're not aware of. It's a blind spot and we can't change. So for now, create awareness. What are the typical moments when you eat food? And maybe even leave that in the comments. I'd love to hear what are the typical moments when you maybe overeat, when you binge, maybe when you start eating even though you're not hungry and you feel like food takes over you. What are those typical moments? Are there certain emotions that are involved? As a typical emotion that is involved? Maybe you're stressed, maybe you're sad, maybe you're angry, maybe you're frustrated, maybe all of the above as well. So it's really important to identify what is that typical moment when you do that. Once you've identified that, now you start creating that awareness. You start observing yourself that that's what you do, because that is your trigger. Okay, and download the workbook. Now I'm going to add a link here. Download the workbook to identify what is the one or all of the triggers that lead to overeating urges. So download the workbook and you will see which one it is for you. So once you know what are the typical maybe emotions, feelings, the typical habits, what is the typical situation when that overeating urge comes up, now you know your trigger. Once you know your trigger, you then kind of look into, can I break that trigger? Can I eliminate the trigger? Or can I at least change the trigger? So let's say if you're feeling stressed, now a lot of the time, we can't really change that. What we can change about stress is how we perceive a situation, okay? So it's a perception of stress. And Dr. Libby talks a lot about it. And that's a completely different video that maybe I should do as well. So, but let's say it's stress, right? So how do I perceive stress? What do I read into this? What meaning do I give to this situation? Sometimes the same situation can look completely different for different people, can seem to be completely different because every person gives a different meaning to the same situation. So we might actually say, okay, you know what? That's actually not as bad as I thought. I can calm myself down here. So we can reduce or eliminate the trigger. If we can't, if the trigger is, let's say you have a young family, you have children, they're not sleeping through the night, you will be tired. In that moment, that can be a trigger. Of course, so when we're tired, we crave calorie-dense food, right? So we can't really eliminate that trigger for now, okay? Because you're going through that stage of your life where that's just part of it. Now we're going into the behavior. So if, let's say, maybe you can change the behavior. Now we are looking into, okay, I know I'm eating when I'm tired. What is it that I can do right now to help myself when I'm tired? And sometimes even just being aware, you know what, I am just tired. So asking myself those questions, what is it that really is driving this urge to eat? I'm tired. Can I find a moment to rest? Can I ask someone for help? Like, what are the ways that I can implement? What are the things that I can do to get some energy? Or let's say, what is it that how can I support myself? How can I get more rest? All these questions, so you can then really give yourself exactly what you need, because at the end of the day, no amount of food will really address what's really happening. Okay, no amount of stress will give you energy. It will give you that energy, quick energy, but at the end of the day, the food choices that we're making usually then crash, and we feel even more tired, more sluggish, can't focus. Okay. And then there is a reward. And sometimes when I look into the habits, I actually look into the reward as well. So what is the reward? What is that you get out of this behavior? So for some people, they say, you know what, I eat when I'm sad, so my reward is I feel happy for a moment. Okay, you're looking for soothing, you're looking for comfort, you're looking for happiness. Let's have a look. What is really going to give you that true happiness, that true feeling like you are living that rich and passionate and meaningful life that you desire and really, really deserve as well? So we look into the reward. So that is true and real reward coming from inside of you, instead of just kind of like that dopamine hit that you get from the amount of chocolate you've just had. Okay, it's completely different whether it's driven through like that drug, or if it's true happiness and contentment and joy and pleasure that comes from your heart because you're doing things that really, really matter to you. That's how we break a habit. I know it's a little bit complicated, and that's why I am going to guide you guys soon. The doors are not open yet, just for some personal invitation only for Solve the Overeating Puzzle 9-week group online coaching program. But for now, download this workbook that I'm going to add. And if you want to get onto the waiting list until the doors open, we have only 4 spots available. Last 4 spots are available. So if you want to get into the waiting list, I will add the link for it as well. Okay. So I hope this helps. Let me know. Let's break that habit, because life is way too short